In today's video, we're going to be breaking down everything you need to know about one of the most underrated mid laners in the game, Vel'koz. We'll be covering his combos, tips and tricks, build, runes, and much more, so let's just get right into it. Starting off with his abilities, Vel'koz's passive is organic deconstruction. Vel'koz's abilities apply a stack of deconstruction, and the third stack consumes them all, dealing a big burst of true damage. This true damage proc is definitely one of the most satisfying and rewarding parts of Vel'koz's kit. His Q is Plasma Fission. It's a long-range skill shot that slows and deals damage on hit. At max range, or when reactivated, the missile splits off into two bolts that travel opposite to each other, perpendicular to the original missile. This reactivation aspect of the spell gives Vel'koz a really high skill ceiling and makes him super fun to play. Void Rift is Vel'koz's W. It's a skill shot that deals damage on the initial activation, and then after 0.75 seconds, it detonates and deals a bigger burst of damage. Each proc of damage does give Vel'koz a stack of his passive. Vel'koz's E is Tectonic Disruption. It's a damaging AoE knockup that takes 0.75 seconds to activate after the cast time. And then his ultimate is Life Form Disintegration Ray. It's a super long range AoE damaging spell that also slows. It lasts for 2.6 seconds, dealing damage every 0.2 seconds and applying a stack of his passive every 0.7 seconds. So for how you're going to want to max these abilities out, you want to take a point into your Q at level 1, W level 2, and then E level 3. You want to put 2 or 3 points into your W first and then max out your Q. If you do want some added wave clear, if you want to be able to shove the wave in as quick as possible, then putting 3 points into W is ideal. If you're in a melee matchup though, to where you don't really need as much wave clear, if the enemy laner doesn't have like super good shove, you can just put 2 points into W and then max Q out, and that will give you enough wave clear and be able to have an extra point in your Q earlier on to give yourself some more poke threat and give yourself some more kill threat early on. So all in all, it's going to be 2 or 3 points into W first, max your Q out after that, W second, and then E third, and put a point in your ultimate at 6, 11, and 16. So moving on to Vel'koz's combos now, the first one here is going to be your standard trading pattern. It's going to be hit your Q first, followed up by E, then W. Then if you are level 6, you can throw in your ultimate. Now, a lot of the time, you won't even have to use your E when comboing with Vel'koz. It is the shortest range ability in Vel'koz's kit, so a lot of the time, getting into range and landing that E will put yourself in a more vulnerable position and will put you in range of the enemy's spells. So if you have the enemy chunked to about 70% and they're squishy, just a Q, W, and ult can 100 to 0 that target there. So if you know your damage, threshold in the certain situation, then not even using your E, just comboing with your Q, W, and ultimate is going to be the way to go. Now, simply just using a Q ultimate combo can 100 to 0 squishy targets depending on how fed you are. This is something to where you'll just have to get used to, your damage spikes on Vel'koz and how much you're going to do in certain situations. But if you are up against a very squishy comp and it's later on in the game, just Q ulting from 100% can be a really good combo for you. It keeps you very safe. You're at a very long distance away from them. Even early in the laning phase, if you get the enemy chunked to about 50% HP, a Q ultimate is going to 100 to 0 them. Now, if you're unaware, just throwing Vel'koz's Q straight out isn't actually the max range of the spell. In order to get the max range of it, you want to angle it, and then when it splits off at max range, when the bolts split off there, it's actually going to be longer range than just throwing it straight out. So a more advanced version of the previous combo is angling your Q and then ulting while the Q is in mid-air, and you can really surprise the enemy with how much burst this combo does. And if you can execute this, then it just feels very rewarding to use if done correctly. Now, your W has no animation. It's kind of like Syndra Q, to where you can continue moving while using the spell. So you want to make sure that if you're kiting away from opponents, say the enemy's chasing you down, you can use W and Q pretty much at the exact same time, but you do want to use W slightly before Q. It's going to shoot the spells out pretty much at the exact same time, and you'll get a true damage proc there if both parts of the W hit and the Q hits, and it's just a surprising amount of burst damage really quickly. Now for the fastest one-shot combo that Vel'koz can use, it's going to be basically using all your spells at the exact same time, WQ pretty much at the exact same time, followed up with E and then ultimate. This isn't the most reliable combo though, and a lot of times you'd only want to use it if the enemy is already CC'd or if they're face checking into you. Most of the time, hitting your Q first, then following up with your E and W is going to be way more reliable, because if you just throw WQE and you just miss all those spells, then you've just, now you have no abilities up, now you're super vulnerable. So this is definitely the fastest one-shot combo, but you're not going to want to use it in every single situation. And then you're able to buffer your Q, E, and ultimate with flash on Vel'koz. So if you're trying to chase down a kill, a lot of the times you're going to find yourself using the Q flash combo the most. If the enemy is like really far away from you and you're chasing down, you'll use the alt flash combo a lot of the time. Most times you're not going to be using the E flash combo. I find myself very rarely using this one, but there are certain scenarios when the enemy is trying to escape and you can try to like E flash to zone them or E flash to, try to get the knock up. You can definitely do that. So just keep in mind, you can be using these combos here to just quickly get your spells out after you end up flashing. So moving on to a bunch of tips and tricks now. Getting used to angling your Q for poke early on in lane is really important on Vel'koz, and it's just going to take your laning phase to the next level. If the enemy is sitting in behind the wave, then just throwing a Q straight out at them is never going to hit. But if you look for the angle Qs when they're sitting in behind the wave, you are going to be able to successfully find a lot more poke and just take your laning phase to the next level. Now, in order for you to hit these angle Qs, it does kind of come down to predicting where the enemy is going to look to move to try to dodge it. In the lower elos, some players won't even try to dodge the angle Q at all, and they'll just stand as to where they are. But once you get up into the higher elos, a lot of players will try to dodge forward to get out of range of that angle Q. So you need to then reactivate the angle Q a little bit earlier in order for you to compensate for the enemy trying to dodge and them trying to move forward. A common mistake you see a lot of new Vel'koz players make is they just throw their E out for poke, or they just kind of throw their E out randomly, and this is something you don't really want to be doing. You always want to try to land your Q first and then use your E after, or have the enemy CC'd by one of your teammates, then use your E after. Because of the 0.75 second cast time on your E, it's not a very reliable spell to just use by itself and use it for poke, so trying to either use it for a zone tool if the enemy jumps onto you, or using it after they're already CC'd is the best way for you to look to use your E. When you're looking to poke the enemy out in the jungle, it's really important you're using these angle Qs through the terrain. They're not going to be able to see your Q when it's in the terrain, so this will just allow you to get a lot more successful poke off with these angle Qs when you are in the jungle. Be sure to use your W early on in the laning phase to just get yourself some mana flow stacks going, and to also get yourself a free stack of your passive. A lot of Vel'koz players just only use their W to either hard shove a wave or to use it after they've hit their Q to get a combo off, but it does have some really good use to just guarantee those mana flow stacks. It's the easiest spell for you to land early on in the laning phase because it can go through the minion wave, and it also does have a pretty quick projectile speed. Vel'koz's Q refunds half mana on a kill, so don't be afraid to use it to secure cannons. Also just use it to farm from range if you're in a bad matchup and you can't move up. The mana cost on this spell is very low if you're using it to get a kill on the minion. The refund is also multiplicative as well, so if you do end up killing 3 minions with 1 Q, then you're actually going to gain mana. Vel'koz's passive stacks will remain on the enemy for 7 seconds and can be refreshed by using abilities or auto attacking as well. So in melee matchups especially, using auto attacks to keep those passive stacks up is a really good thing to do, and something that a lot of people don't know about. Even though Vel'koz has amazing pushing power, in a lot of your matchups early on, you actually don't want to be shoving the enemy in under tower. If you're against assassins or fighters like Yasuo, Aurelia, Fizz, Echo, the longer the lane you give them, the easier it's going to be for them to look to run you down and burst you out. If you're playing against, an Aurelia and she can just dash through the wave and then just continue chasing you down the lane, then that's going to be, in her favor. So in those kind of matchups to where the enemy does have a gap closer to where they can just jump right onto you, keeping the wave on your side of the lane is going to be really ideal. Now vice versa though, if you're playing against other mages like short range mages or against champions that don't have easy engage tools to get right onto you, shoving into them is completely fine as long as you know you have vision on the enemy jungler or you're tracking the enemy jungler, have some wards down. Then playing up as Vel'koz is great to do because you can push them in under tower, and then when they're trying to last hit, you have the long range poke with your Q, so you can just get some free harass off with your Q when they are under tower. Vel'koz's zone control and poke power is extremely strong, so you want to make sure that you're arriving to objectives well before they spawn, control vision, and when the enemy tries to face check into you or as they're trying to walk into the objective, poke them out with their Q and just zone them from that objective. If you can do this consistently on your Vel'koz, you're gonna have a lot of success with them in the mid game. Now this next one here isn't really a tip or something that's gonna, drastically improve your Vel'koz play, but it's just kind of interesting to know. The second activation of Vel'koz's W actually does have a slightly larger range and width than the initial proc of damage. And then due to the long range on Vel'koz's Q, use this as a scouting tool. You should never be face checking into bushes if your Q is available. So later on in the game, if you don't have any vision around Baron, around Dragon, make sure you're constantly, throwing out your Q as you're walking towards bushes. Throw it out at max range, check those bushes. Your Q is on a very short cooldown, so there's no reason that you shouldn't be doing this. So now if we take a look at Vel'koz's matchups, first for the ban category, we have Ahri, Echo, Aurelia, Fizz, Zed, Katarina, LeBlanc, and Kassadin. So whenever a champion has upwards of 6 ban matchups, it's not really a good thing, and this is one of the downsides to Vel'koz mid, is that he's just not a great blind pickable champion. Super fun pick to play, but if you're blind picking him and you're going up against any of these ban champions here, you're not going to have a great time. Because Vel'koz is an immobile mage who doesn't really have the greatest self peel, these champions like Fizz, Katarina can just easily outplay him, dodge out on his skill shots, jump right onto him, burst him out, and there's not a lot he can do in most situations like that. For Vel'koz's hard matchups, you could definitely argue that some of these should go in the ban category, but I find these ones a little bit more manageable than the ban matchups. For like Yone and Yasuo, for example, they can get onto you pretty easily, but a lot of the time they just perma shove the wave into your tower. A good Yasuo or Yone will definitely try to keep the wave on their side of the lane and they'll try to zone you, but most Yasuo and Yones don't do that. They just hard shove into you, so you can just sit back at your tower, try to keep the wave in front of your tower there, just farm up and try to get to your mid game spike. Now for the skill matchups, these are ones to where you can win if you know how to play your Vel'koz well. So a lot of these champions here are either shorter range mages or they're assassin picks that don't have as good gap close, or they don't have as easy access onto you as the ban or the hard champions do. So for example, Talon's actually a pretty easy assassin matchup, because if he tries to go onto you, you can very easily combo him, with your E, with your full combo there. You can poke him out pretty easily, and because his engage is just straight at you, it's an easier matchup for Vel'koz for sure. Whereas a champion, like Fizz, he doesn't have to go straight onto you in order to get on top. He can use his E to, dodge out on your Q, dodge out on your E, but Talon cannot do that. And then for Vel'koz's easy matchups, these are just champions here that he heavily outranges, or most of them he does heavily outrange, and that's to where, you're gonna find the most success picking Vel'koz is as a counter pick into these champions like Cassio, Veigar, Anivia, Ryze. These short range mages are great for the pick. You easily poke them out, with your Q throughout the laning phase. If you hit a Q on them later on in the game, if they try to move up and hit their abilities, then you're going to be in Q range of them. So if Cassio walks up, tries to hit a Q on you, you're going to be in Q range first. So you hit your Q on her, you use your ultimate, you chunk her from 100 to 0, and it's just very difficult for these champions, especially like Anivia as well, who's very meta right now. If you can learn Vel'koz, pick him as a counter into Anivia, it's very difficult for Anivia to function in the mid to late game with a Vel'koz in the game. So now let's take a look at the build you should be running on your Vel'koz mid. For starting items, it's going to be a Doran's Ring pretty much every single game. There's really nothing better on the champion, so Doran's Ring, 2 potions is what you want to start off with. Early base on Vel'koz, Dark Seal, Refillable, Boots, Lost Chapter, those are different items you can look to pick up. If you do have enough gold for Lost Chapter, prioritize that over anything else, but if you don't have enough gold for Lost Chapter, then grabbing that Dark Seal, grabbing a Refillable Potion, Boots is what you can look to do. And then for his core items, Liandry's is a great option if you are up against an HP stacking enemy composition or a tankier comp. Luden's is going to be best though if you're up against more squishy champions, so it really just does depend on the game. Both are great options as a rush for your Vel'koz. For boots on Vel'koz, Sork Shoes is going to be the best for pretty much every single game. Unless the enemy is full AP or full AD, you can go Mercs or Tabbies, but in 99% of your games, you want to be going for Sork Shoes. And then Horizon Focus is going to be like your second main core item. You're going to either want to pick this up second or third on your Vel'koz. For situational items, going for a Seeker's Arm Guard Rush is really good value if you're up against an AD mid, AD jungle, or just a full AD enemy composition. It's just a great item, really cost efficient, so you can just pick this up, sit on it until you've completed your mythic, and then build this into a Zhonya's second. Mejai's second item is a great option. If you've picked up that early Dark Seal and you're snowballing super hard in the early game, then Mejai is a great option really on any mage champion. If you are confident that you're going to be able to stay alive, if the enemy doesn't have a ton of dive champions, ton of assassins, then Mejai's is a great pickup. If the enemy does have a very heavy healing composition, then grab an early Oblivion Orb. You can pick this up second usually, and just don't make the mistake of building it into Morello though. A lot of Vel'koz players build the Morello second or third, but it's just not a cost efficient item. You're much better off building into your Horizon Focus, going into your Zhonya's, just sitting on this Oblivion Orb until really later on into the game, until you do run out of item slots, then you can upgrade it to Morello. Now, as for the Zhonya's that we've mentioned a little bit already, picking this up second or third against heavy assassin comps, if you're up against a Zed, a Fizz, it's a great second purchase there. Delaying your Horizon Focus until third is great in those situations. Some games though, if the enemy team doesn't have any dive at all, if they don't have any assassin picks, you don't even want to go Zhonya's at all, so it really just does come down to the game and what you think is best for that situation. And then same thing towards Banshee's Veil here. You're not going to want to pick this up every single game, but if the enemy does have a lot of long range, poke champions, a lot of AP champions on their team, then grabbing this either second or third can be a good purchase. For Rabadons, grabbing this either third or fourth is where it's going to slot in best in most of your games. So if you're up against that dive comp, you need a defensive tool like Zhonya's or Banshees, then you're going to grab it fourth. You're going to go for your mythic into Horizon Focus, Zhonya's, then Rabadons. But if you are up against a comp that you don't need those defensive tools against, then picking this up third here after your mythic Horizon Focus is going to give you a massive 3-item damage spike. And then Void Staff, always a great option for your AP champions if the enemy team is stacking magic resist. Third, fourth, or fifth is when you'd want to pick it up, and it just really does come down to the game. It depends how much MR they're stacking, or if they're even stacking any MR at all. Now moving on to breaking down Vel'koz's rune pages, for his Keystone, Comet is going to be the most optimal for almost all of your games. There is some viability behind Electrocute or Dark Harvest. You do see some Vel'koz players run that, but Comet is just so reliable on the pick because it procs every time you hit your Q, since your Q does slow. Also procs, every time your E hits or your ultimate hits there, so you're just going to get so much value out of Comet throughout the game. If you are in certain melee matchups, you can take Electrocute there, because you're going to be able to proc that a lot throughout the laning phase. But if you're just looking for one Keystone to run every game on your Vel'koz, I'd 100% recommend it be Comet. After Comet, you want to follow that up with Mana Flow Ban, Transcendence, and Gathering Storm. However, a couple of different things can be swapped around here. You can swap out Mana Flow for Nullifying Orb if you're up against an Assassin, an AP Assassin pick. You can also swap out Gathering Storm for Scorch if you are in an easy early game matchup and you do think you have some good kill threat. For rune stats on your Vel'koz, taking the double adaptive and then either armor or magic resist depending on your matchup is just the most standard. However, you can also run the CDR, or I should say the ability haste, in that top row there. That does also have some really good viability to it, so you can look to try out both. Both are really good on the champion, see which one you do like best. And then for your secondary page on Vel'koz, there's a couple different options for you. If you want the max amount of kill threat for early on in the lane phase, if you're in an easy matchup, then you can opt towards Domination Secondary, taking Cheap Shot and Ultimate Hunter. If you are in a more difficult matchup though, or if you just want to run the more standard page on Vel'koz for secondary, you can go Inspiration and you can take Free Boots and Biscuits. Now, if you are up against a champion like a Zed or a Fizz, instead of taking the Free Boots, you can opt for the Perfect Timing. For summoner spells, take Flash every single game, follow it up with Barrier against your assassin matchups, and then against mages, look to take heal. Very underrated summoner spell on Vel'koz. If you're going up against an Orianna, a Cassiopeia, the move speed it provides is really nice to dodge out on their abilities. Also, the heal is really good there for those early skirmishes that you get into. It's very undervalued. If you're fighting with your jungler, you not only heal yourself, but you also heal your jungler, making your 2v2 so much stronger. And then also, because Vel'koz doesn't have a gap closer in his kit, just the move speed it provides him later on in the game allows for him to reposition, allows for him to kite away from dive champions a lot easier. So if you haven't tried out heal into mage matchups, definitely recommend it on your Vel'koz. And then lastly there, for the cleanse, if you're up against a heavy CC composition, say they have a Lissandra mid, a Lilia jungle, Leona support, I'd be looking to run cleanse in those scenarios. Alright, so that is going to be all for the Season 11 Vel'koz guide. If you enjoyed, be sure to drop a like, subscribe if you haven't already. If you want to catch a stream, go give my Twitch a follow. I'll have a link down in the description below. With that being said, guys, thanks for watching, have an awesome day, and I will see you in my next video.